Hello, everyone. I'm delighted to join the American Jewish Committee's annual Global Forum once again. I just wish I could be with you all in person. For more than a century, AJC has been at the forefront of the fight against anti-Semitism and for democracy. You've also been a champion for Jewish people and for the security of the State of Israel. Today, those missions are as important as ever, and they align with many of the United States' top foreign policy priorities, two of which I'd like to focus on today. First, the United States is committed to working by your side to tackle the alarming rise in anti-Semitism around the world. As this gathering knows well, our own country is not immune. Last year, the United States saw a record number of anti-Semitic incidents. That's deeply troubling in its own right. We know the pain caused by these incidents is profound, and it's felt far beyond the immediate victims. It's also alarming because history has shown that hatred of Jews often goes hand in hand with hatred of other groups, refugees, people of color, people with disabilities. And in places where anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial spread, repression and democratic backsliding are often not far behind. That's why AJC's commitment to fight all forms of religious intolerance is so critical. And it's why this administration has made combating anti-Semitism and bigotry of all kinds a top priority for our domestic and our foreign policy. It's also why we're so grateful for AJC's leadership in standing up for democracy and human rights around the globe, as we see in the recent solidarity with and support for the people of Ukraine as they defend their nation against the Russian government's brutal war of aggression. AJC is not a newcomer to this. In 1991, AJC was the first Jewish organization outside Ukraine to call on President George H.W. Bush to recognize the country's independence. It's been a staunch supporter of a free and democratic Ukraine ever since. Recently, the Senate confirmed Deborah Lipstadt as our special envoy to monitor and combat anti-Semitism. As I think so many of you know, Deborah has dedicated much of her life to understanding and tackling this scourge. As she often points out, what's so worrisome is not just the current surge in anti-Semitism, but also the fact that so many people, organizations, even governments do not take it seriously enough. At this forum, you've already heard about the critically important work that Deborah and her team are doing to press others to treat this problem with the seriousness it deserves. But combating anti-Semitism abroad isn't just the special envoy's job. It's the job of the entire State Department, and one that we and I take very seriously. Second, the United States' commitment to Israel's security remains ironclad. We're determined that Iran will never acquire a nuclear weapon, and we're continuing our close coordination with our Israeli partners to prevent Iran from developing one. We're working tirelessly to expand normalization with Israel's neighbors through the Abraham Accords. In March, I had the chance to participate in the historic Negev Summit, sitting around the same table with my colleagues from Israel, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Morocco, as well as Egypt. This was only the latest example of how once impossible things have become possible. That includes Morocco and Israel agreeing to open embassies in Rabat and Tel Aviv, Prime Minister Bennett becoming the first Israeli Prime Minister to visit Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, Israel and Bahrain signing over a dozen agreements to deepen economic ties, a Holocaust memorial exhibit opening in Dubai. These are just a few of the ways normalization is becoming the new normal in the region. Across these efforts, we're working to forge tangible improvements in the lives of Palestinians, calm tensions, and preserve our long-standing goal of reaching a negotiated two-state solution. At the summit, we committed to maintaining the momentum of the Abraham Accords, and we've done that. To give just one example, the United States, Israel, and the UAE recently held the inaugural meeting of the Trilateral Religious Coexistence Working Group, which will bring together governments and religious figures from across the region to counter intolerance and hatred, including anti-Semitism. Now, if this sounds like the work of AJC, that's not a coincidence. Fostering these kinds of ties has been one of AJC's goals for decades, and it's progressed in no small part thanks to the purposeful leadership of AJC's CEO, David Harris. David, your dedication, your leadership has been indispensable to this institution to its relationship with countless administrations, to Jewish communities worldwide for the last 3 decades. I have benefited directly from your ideas, your counsel, your support. Your service is the embodiment of Tikkun Olam. To Ted Deutsch, my friend, a warm welcome, and I wish you the best of luck in filling David's rather large shoes. So, I'd like to thank AJC for its enduring partnership, for its ongoing work, and for all I know that we'll continue to do together. Thank you very much.